I would now like to welcome you to our 2025 webinar series, A Wildflower Path, Navigating Wellness Through Life Seasons. This is our second session out of 6, and today's session is titled Rooted in Presence, Nurturing Safety. I'm Gabriela Zapata-Alma, the Associate Director of the National Center on Domestic Violence, Trauma, and Mental Health. And it's my pleasure to be joined by Giada Matteine, founder, artistic, and executive director of WADE, Wandering Avian Dance Experience. Before we get started, here are some troubleshooting tips about this platform. If you get disconnected from today's session at any point, please re-enter the session using the original webinar link that was emailed to you. If the sound is unclear, it's likely due to an unstable internet connection. If this happens to you, feel free to call in for better audio connection. If you're experiencing technical difficulties, you can directly chat with Christine Horwitz, also with the Center, for assistance. If you're unable to contact Christine, please reach out to Zoom Tech Support. Christine will post that phone number in the chat box. We welcome you to use the chat feature to share thoughts, questions, and resources throughout the session. Your screen may look a little different depending on what kind of device you're using. Usually, the chat box can be found at the bottom right of the screen. You might have to click on the chat icon that looks like a speech bubble to open it. Let's test that chat feature now. Please introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you're joining from today. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our center, the National Center on Domestic Violence, Trauma, and Mental Health, is located in Chicago, the homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations, among many other nations. We invite each person to learn about the land you are connected to. One resource to get started is the website native-land.ca. We will now open our space. Going to light this candle to open our space. And I light this candle for each person who feels scared today, for every person feeling unsafe in their relationships, in their bodies, and in our surroundings. Know that we are with you and that our work is dedicated to you. We offer this poem to also open our space. It is by Nayyirah Waheed from her book, Salt. I am not yours. I did not make the long, hard journey through and across the spirit world to be a man's ocean. My body is not yours. My mouth is not yours. My water is not yours. Nothing I am belongs to you, unless I decide to open my hand and give it to you. Birthmarks. So today's topic comes from one of the first chapters in our forthcoming toolkit, Building Safety in the Body. We wanted to really open up this healing-centered toolkit and with this topic because we know that far too often it is every part of us that is experiencing the effects of trauma, including our bodies. And even moments when we might not even know why our bodies sense danger. Our body's ancient wisdom, ancient survival response senses that danger and rings the alarm bells. And while that ancient survival response is absolutely our friend in overcoming immediate threats to our immediate physical danger, there are many ways that in our day-to-day life, as we experience the effects of trauma, that the ways that our bodies sense danger and respond to danger can be felt as distressful, can be bewildering, and can ultimately also be experienced as life-limiting. And so we know that while healing must be holistic, that our bodies are an essential and core part of that healing. I want to introduce a practice from our toolkit. But before I introduce that brief practice, I want to invite Giada. Giada, if you want to mention anything else around the importance of building safety in our bodies, I want to welcome you to also say whatever is on your heart and mind here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this space. It's not always easy to talk about safety in the body for someone who has shared experience of violence. So I'm really grateful for this. I am a dancer, former dancer, and the body is my space. So I'm very happy to have a moment to explore these ways of healing. I'm not a speaker. I'm a mover. So it's also a little scary to have to speak about the body. But thank you everyone for being here. I'm super grateful to have this time with you.
Thank you. And so a practice that is actually the very first practice in our forthcoming toolkit is a practice known as the butterfly hug, abrazo de mariposa. It was developed by Lucina Artigas to support survivors of Hurricane Pauline in Mexico. And since then, it has been used across people of all different kinds of ages and cultures and places in the world, recovering from traumatic events and the effects of trauma, both mental, physical, and spiritual. And the reason why I chose this specific practice is because not only is it so incredibly applicable, but it's also something that can be done quite quickly and can have a pretty big effect. And so I invite everybody to do this with me so you have a sense of what it's like to do. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to make a butterfly with our hands. So you see that my thumbs are hooked together to make the body of the butterfly. If you prefer not to, then you don't have to. And so once you have that butterfly with your hands, you bring it to your chest and you put the tips of your fingers just right underneath your collarbones. Now notice that you want to keep your fingers pointing up towards the ceiling as much as possible. So not necessarily out to the sides, up to the ceiling. Now once you're positioned, you're going to gently tap one side at a time. This is the flutter of the butterfly wings. This is the hug of the butterfly. Continue breathing however feels comfortable for you. You can do this for as long as it feels good to do. You can stop whenever you'd like to stop. And this is something that as we feel tension in our body, as our body gives us signals of danger, as we feel power building in our body and it feels like it's just causing us to quake and it's vibrating out through our skin, we can come back to the butterfly hug and help us to just sit comfortably in our bodies. So with that, Giada, thank you so much for joining us today. Giada will also be featured in the toolkit, but we're so glad that you are here today, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. I actually thank you for this acknowledgement of our body. I actually want to start there, and I'm going to use a visual aid. So I have my beautiful little skeleton that one of my students gave to me because I talk about this all the time. And I'm going to teach, well, guide a centering practice. And I would like you to visualize your body physically first. So we're going to talk about a vertical line, and I hope you can see it, like our spine. Yes, we can use our spine, like the vertebrae that connect the skull all the way down to our coccyx, right? This is like a way to acknowledge the vertical alignment. Then we are going to talk about our horizontal plane. So you can visualize the midline of your body, right? From the top of the head down to the sternum and down all the way to your feet, and find the even right side and left side, right? We're not completely even physically, but we have a sensation of openness for the right side perimeter and the left side perimeter. So visualize this horizontal plane from the middle. And then the final plane that we're going to think of is a sagittal plane. So you will visualize first your back, right, your back space from the skull down to the back, the buttocks, and all the way down to your feet. And the front, right, the front body. So the top of the head, down the chest, all the way down to the toes. So this idea of going from the back to the front is our sagittal space. So you have the vertical alignment through the spine, the horizontal plane, through the midline, and the front and back of our body. And we'll land in this part of our body that obviously hosts all our muscles and organs. And this is just a skeleton, but these are inside space. So we are going to use those images. And I just wanted to make sure that you had an actual anatomical reference to use. And before I guide you into this practice of centering in length, width, and depth, I just want to name that these practices are, I have learned this practice to many teachers. It is an Aikido practice. I will use some of the teaching of Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, and also some language from the Bartenieff method, which is a movement method for efficiency. So they are all these beautiful teaching coming together that I use in my practice. So the first thing I like to ask you is to just find your seat, right? If you're sitting or if you're standing, but find the floor and move your feet around for a second so that maybe you can feel the bottom of the feet pushing down to the ground. And then check your seat, right? Your seat bones and where your body actually touches the chair. Just take a moment to feel that weight. So the chair and the floor are actually supporting you. They are part of the support system that we have by being here. And then I like you to think about that spot right below the belly button. If you want, you can actually maybe place your hands there and feel that spot right there that we call our core, and it's where breath and life initiates, right? So you can refer to that as your core. And then I'll ask you to also think about your eyes and your gaze. So if you feel comfortable, you can keep your eyes closed. If not, you can keep them slightly open but looking in front of you, so like a relaxed gaze. So that's your beginning sense. You're gonna find the weight, you're gonna find your seat, you're gonna find your core, and finally the gaze. And just take a moment to find that breath. Find your own breath, your natural breath. The first thing we're gonna do is send our breath on a vertical. journey, right? So you're going to find the inhale in your core. And then let's send the inhale out the top of the head and the bottom of the feet. And with your exhale, bring it back to the core. So you're visualizing your breath moving in vertical alignment, right? So the words that we're going to use for this kind of breath moving up the spine is lengthening and shortening, right? So you're going to inhale, you're going to lengthen the breath out of the top of the head, out of the bottom of the feet. And you're going to exhale, bring it back, shortening the body back to your core. Let's try that one more time. You're going to inhale, lengthen. You're making room in between each vertebrae, pushing down into the ground, away from the top of the head, and then exhale. Let the breath settle again, back to the core. Take a second to feel the sensations of your body, thinking about this vertical breath, and visualize this vertical breath as your innate dignity. This is what our lane signifies. Nobody gives it to you, which means nobody takes it away from you either. And let's move into horizontal plane. So midline of the body, you're going to inhale out, expanding up and away to the right and left side of the body. And as you exhale, you bring the breath back to the core. The words that we're using here are widening and narrowing, right? So you're going to inhale and widen the body as far out as you can evenly. And exhale, narrow the body back to the core. Every time you come back to the core, let the breath settle. Let's do one more time. Inhale, widen. And exhale, narrow. Let the breath rest here and resonate inside of your body. Your horizontal breath represents the connections with your community, which could mean the people right next to you in your house, or your neighbors, or those who live in the same city. You can spread this community out to the entire country and even the entire world. So you can expand out this sense of community with your imagination as much as you like, whatever makes you feel safe. And finally, when I explore the last plane, the sagittal plane, so with your mind's eye, visualize the back, your back space, and see behind you all the people that have come before you. Your ancestors, your parents, your teachers, anyone who has served their life in purpose for yours to happen now, and honor those people and their legacy. And then the front body, see all those who are yet to come. They can be your children or your students or young people you don't know. But these young people's life is going to be bound by your actions and your support and your presence. So our sagittal breath is going to expand our body in these two directions. You're going to bulge the belly out so that your exhalation goes, the inhalation goes front and back. And with your exhalation, bring it to the core, right? So you're deflating the belly, bringing the belly back to your spine. And one more time, you're going to inhale, bulge in the belly, out, front and back. Exhaling, hollowing the belly in. One more time, you inhale, you create more space in your torso. And then as you exhale, you come back to your core. And now let it rest there for a second. Visualize that space in between the front and the back, in between the past and the future. The space inside of your bodies. This is your present. This is the time that is dedicated and belongs to you. But it's also your purpose. Right here, you can find your purpose. You can find your presence. See if you can think about something that's really important to you. It doesn't have to be saving the world. It can be something small, something that means something to you, and see if you can let that purpose breathe inside this 3D breath. Feel if your torso has more space, if you have more connection to the ground and the sky above you. Just notice if anything is happening to your body, if any sensations are coming up. Try not to judge them, just acknowledge that they're there. And stay with your breath just for one more minute on your own, noticing. And when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to just close this short practice whichever way you want. You can yawn or wiggle or open your eyes or place your hands in front of your chest or say a thank you, a silent thank you, whatever you need, just to finish, complete this practice of centering in 3 directions. And when you're ready, please just open your eyes and reacclimate yourself with your space. Beautiful. If anybody wants to share any sensations or any observation of what happened, if you notice something in your bodies or your mind, or please feel free. Lovely. I would like now to show you a short video of how I apply this idea of presence and inner intuition and power and joy when I do other things. So I do teach classical dance, and that is something that's really heavy with learned what's the word, insufficiency, right? And so I try to start the dance space in this kind of environment so that we can unlearn these insufficiencies and come to our present moment. So I'd like to show you how my beautiful students apply this concept. I'm going to try and share my screen. Can you see it, Gabriela? Yes. Okay. Perfect. I am going to play it. Hopefully you can hear, but this is the same concept, just put into space for dance.
Belly flat, right, and then
Oops, sorry.
exhale and soften. Place your hands behind your head. Again, move the head for a second so that you feel the articulation of your neck, and visualize the right side of the body, left side of the body, right elbow, left elbow, reach away, and then soften into each other like you're closing the book.
So they're working on their horizontal alignment now, holding the horizontal alignment over.
Taking your own weight, place your hands on the ground. Once your hands are on the floor again, rock the body weight forward and back, or shake your shoulders, or roll.
And here they're allowed to discover what's happening in their body. They shake, they roll, they open and close their mouth. They come in connection with what's happening in this moment in their body and what do they need? What does it feel like? Where is the pain? Where is the tension?
Roll yourself up, visualize in the
And they
right
connect to the
elbow
ground
away from the left
and they
knuckles,
roll up,
shins and knees
expanding
together.
out into their
The
full
shoulders, come to stand, feel your width.
width.
Last set, inhale. And exhale, look straight up.
And again, they engage their breath.
Visualize your front body and back body. Belly is lifting, shoulders are lifting, softening into the knees.
And now they're exploring their front bodies and back bodies.
And now fold the front body forward. As you fold the front body forward, your back body opens. They're working together in connection.
The front and back bodies are always working in connection, even if they're doing something different.
And then stretch.
And again, they take a moment
Roll yourself up.
to feel their joints, their muscles, but also their
Find the
mindset.
3-dimension, vertical, horizontal, sagittal. Press up on the front of the toes and find your ballet alignment. Thinking of this 3D breath, lengthening through the spine. Keep reaching up as you bring your heels down, top of the head, up. Find your 3D weight and rest. Gorgeous. All right, use that. We go straight to the Grand Plie, please. One hand at the bar.
I just show you 10 seconds, but they use this idea of breath and presence as they enter the class.
Vertical, horizontal, and sagittal, right? Beautiful. Again, and 1. Same.
All right. Okay. That was the whole recording that I had. So I wanted to show you all how I apply this sense of presence in all the spaces that I have. I hope that that was clear enough to understand how they're using these 3 dimensions to find this ballet alignment, but also to find themselves inside of the technique before they start, which is something that I've been navigating for many years. That has caused me some trauma. And I want to start here. I started here because everything that I do wants to start from this concept, this being in present moment. So my healing from domestic violence and my research and my pedagogical approach to dance, the way I mother my son, the relationships that I nurture, that there's this sense of being present and starting being present as an action, because it's an action, right? So creating a space where you're present is something that you have to practice, that you have to learn how to do over and over. And this way I can harness my own power to create equitable spaces for others. So as a dancer, as a mother, as an activist, it's all come from the body to me. And then just the other little note the other little image that I want to give you is when we go back to our body and we look at our body and how we are made of all these broken bones, right? This is like something that Thomas Merton used to say, that, we are bodies of broken bones. Brokenness is part of who we are. And I really embrace that concept. I think that being broken is human, and that we share this brokenness, and coming in touch of our bodies and our sensations in our body helps us understand compassion for others and for ourselves. So all the work that I do comes from this concept, our innate right of being here because we are here, and our shared brokenness, which brings out our vulnerability, which brings out our strength. Gabriela, I spoke with such a long time. I want to make sure that I don't talk forever without.
You are perfect. You are right
Okay.
on time. Keep going.
Good. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth Swin. Okay, so with this big concept, right, of the body and acknowledging our body, and maybe even allowing our body to give us input of what's happening, right? When we feel pain, when we feel anger, when we feel sadness, our body tells us. And so the practice that I shared with you is something that I do all the time, even if it's just like for like 1 minute, I'm just sitting there and thinking, I'm on the subway and I'm like lengthening, widening, and bulging, just to make sure that I settle in my body so that I don't let whatever emotions are happening spinning out. And it's something I've been doing for many years. Again, not my practice, but it's something that I've been developing more and more. And then I just want to share what the company that I have does. So again, I'm a dancer. I started as a ballet dancer, and I come from a space of violence, both in my home as a child and as a marital home. And I want to show you this slide because every time I talk about my company, there's a lot of stuff going on, and maybe I'm not clear. It's a performing arts company, but we also do work with survivors, and we also do work with perpetrators. There's a lot. So I just want to give you a visual that one of my beautiful young collaborators created for me. Hold on, I'm sorry. Give me a second. So I'm hoping that this visual will at least give you a little more direct idea of how violence has informed this company, and mainly how flourishing out of violence has informed my company. Hold on, I think I can do it. Okay, there we go. I'm hoping you can all see this. Gabriela, you can see it, right? Yes, okay. This is a little bit of the journey, a personal journey that started with this idea of violence up top, and how violence has informed my life since childhood, and how it has caused trauma in my life and in my body. So starting with childhood trauma, and then moving into adult trauma and artistic trauma. Who were the people that were causing trauma, my mother and my former husband, and all the teachers and choreographers that are telling young people that they're not good enough, their body's not good enough, their effort is not good enough, their necks are too big. And the mentors that come from this very close-minded lineage, and how I've learned, what is love. Abuse is like, and derision and criticism. Those are all part of loving relationships. That's what I learned. And that's why my trauma continued to stay in my body for such a long time. And I just reached a point that I did not want to perpetrate this trauma anymore. So the red line that you see is kind of like, of course, it didn't happen like that. All of a sudden, I'm like, I don't have trauma anymore, and it's not even true right now. But at least there's a moment when I made a conscious decision to take the steps towards fighting these kind of generational and traumas. I did it for myself on the left-hand side of the screen. I did it for my son, and I did it for my students. I did not want to pass on my trauma to my son. I did not want to pass on my trauma to my students. And the work that I've been doing for 30 years is created this company called Wade that has a very wide pronged approach to what it means to end the cycle of violence. So when I look at myself, I'm very interested in using movement as a practice for domestic violence survivors, and bring joy in these spaces, and bring a new understanding that the body can again be joyous and meaningful for you. That's like what Gabriela's beautiful poems say, that the body just belongs to me and I have agency. And for myself, I want to empower women. I want to empower young women. I want to empower women who are older. I want to empower all ages and all forms of storytelling for women to tell their story. Through my son, of course, I wanted to end the cycle of violence, and I'm interested in working with perpetrators because I realized that not all perpetrators are at the same level. Some of them need to stay in jail forever, but some can maybe create a relationship with their children that's less toxic. And so working with them to help them use the body to create true accountability of their actions, not because they don't want to go back to jail, would inform the life of the children and the life of the partners, and make their lives lighter. So that's my interest with the perpetrators. And then again, with the students, I want to create a safe space for everyone in which they come in with their bodies and their experiences and their talents, and they are nurtured. So it's a joyous approach to this technique. I want to be an ally to the LGBTQA2 plus community because their voices are important. And if I'm in a space of power, because I am a teacher and I am an educator and I am a leader and I am all of these, then I'm going to use my time to support this community that's really important to me. So the work is multi-pronged. It's often very complicated and it's very vulnerable. I cannot really disassociate myself from the work. It's just so personal to me, and it continues to grow. And I think that it's based on this idea of compassion, of forgiveness, and joy. I'm hoping that you might be interested enough to check the website. So if you're interested, you can see actually some of the work that we do. Thank you, Christine. We'll drop the link. And I also would like to share a link to a film that I produced, which is called Forbidden. And Christine will also drop that link in the chat. You can check it out whenever you want. This film is important to me because it was one of the first projects that I invested in, that is a short film that speaks of the experience of this young Iranian dancer that I have met during COVID through one of these crazy COVID connections. I only met her like 6 years later. And of a story of technically just wanting to be a dancer and not being able to do it because dance is illegal for women in Iran. And the incredible and courageous thing that she had to do to just dance. She wound up going in jail, and then she eventually now moved to Berlin as a refugee, and now she's dancing freely. But I was so touched by her dedication and her fierceness of wanting, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. And so this short film talks about her experience. Christine, if you can also drop, please, the link to the amazing young filmmaker. Her name is Yasmin Enahora, who actually put the film together again during COVID. Yasmin was in New York and Nyusha was in Iran, and they were passing each other like messages through like a system where the messages actually disappear because they were scared of being found out. It was quite fascinating, and I am very proud of it. So if you like to see it, this is kind of what my idea Wade as a performing arts company that activates means. So by bringing these stories to the forefront, we hope to have some kind of reaction to the audience and interest in this situation. Making sure I tell you everything. Yes, and I produce residencies, and I'll just tell you exactly what we do, and then I'm gonna let it be so that if anybody has questions. But we produce residencies mainly for LGBTQA plus choreographers and women identifying choreographers. We want to offer rehearsal space and professional production opportunities and mentoring and a stipend to a population that doesn't have as much opportunities in the field. And this is, you can check those on the website as well. This is how we are supporting young artists trying to do this work. And on the healing side of it, we are actually creating 2 brand new programs. One, which Gabriela and the organization are helping me create, which is actually a syllabi to work in anti-violence centers in Italy, because I'm Italian, and training dancers to enter in the space with a trauma-informed lens. And I am collaborating with NYU, the Tisch Creative Research Office, on this somatic rehabilitation program for violent offenders. Again, the idea that we would enter the rehabilitation processes that already exist, but incorporate the body, because the body is not really seen yet in these specific spaces as a way of access to healing. I would love to have for you all to have my email as well. Christine, if you can drop that in the chat. If anyone has any questions after this session is over, you're curious about anything, I would love to speak to you. Thank you. Okay. Oof.
Thank you so much, Giada. It's so wonderful to hear about your work and see your video and how you are putting all of your just lived wisdom into healing and practice and creating all of those ripple effects of your healing to facilitate safety and love and beauty and healing in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're ready for any questions that folks may have. And so as we wait for questions, I see here in the chat lots and lots of love for you, Giada. And you can cry, we can cry. I'll cry
Oh
with you, let's
gosh.
cry. I see here someone has written, I would love to make a similar map to understand my work and the ways it intersects with my own survivorship. And so I wonder if you would offer any ideas or things from your own experience of how you got started
Yeah.
for others who want to do the same.
Yeah, I actually I am a single mother and I am an artist, and I never had the opportunity to do these artistic residencies where people go away for a month and do, their art. And I finally got to do one 2 years ago, and I had the space to create anything. I was thinking about this idea of why do I want to work with perpetrators, which was always kind of I don't know, not very well received. Most people were like, why would you want to work with perpetrators? You're a survivor of violence. And so I was trying to figure out, why do I want to work with perpetrators, right? And I went backwards. That's what I did. I'm like, okay, this is the work I want to do. I know that it feels right, but why? And so I went back and I started to actually, I'm actually a actual writer, meaning I like to write with my hands. I don't know how to do this digital stuff. I did it with my hands. I started writing and going backwards until I arrived at the violence. And then I went back again. I'm like, okay, this is where I started. This is my experience with violence. And when was the moment that I decided I can't do this anymore? And what the people that were affected? So honestly, for me, it was just thinking about why am I doing this? I think everybody has a way to get to this chart. For me, it was having the time to think and not have all these other responsibilities. And I know that that's super hard, right? Everybody's busy, everybody's constantly working. I know I am. And there's so much chatter. And when there's so much chatter, there's nothing coming out. And this time I had a peaceful 3 weeks in which I could actually sit with myself. So I suggest to do this. I did it in a moment of real peace. That's what I'm trying to say. I can't do it in a moment where I'm heightened and scared or anything. It has to be, to me, it was a moment of quiet and peace, and finally coming to terms that violence didn't have to inform my life in a certain way anymore. And definitely, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of young people here. Ask the young people in your life to help you with the digital stuff, because my young people are amazing. That's what she did. And, she was able to like choose the colors. And yeah, I can share this with anybody who would like it as well, as a point of reference. I'm actually thinking about doing sorry, Gabriela, thinking about doing another graph, but this time with my family lineage and going backwards to understand what the stories of my family is and why did I inherit the pain that my mother had, where does the pain came from, and all of that. I haven't been ready to do that. It has taken me many years to get here. But now I'm ready to hear actually her story of why her life was informed with violence. So that's my next step. It's very liberating.
And what I really, there's so many things that I notice as you share your process. And one of the things that really strikes me is how much you trusted your inner voice in that moment. That when people were asking you why you want to do something, many times that can be received as a judgment. That can be something that discourages us or makes us question our inner voice. And that you took that as an opportunity to reflect and to be with yourself in that moment of peace, in that peaceful place. And just struck by how deeply you trust yourself and trusted yourself in that moment.
Thank you. It's yeah. It has definitely been a process. A process of learning to really give the right attention to my body and to my sensations. And again, I am grateful to have this dance, this movement, not just dance, but the movement that has always created space for me to feel these things. I don't think I would have never been able to do it without what I do. And this is why I believe in it so much, because I know that it worked for me. And if it worked for me, it can work for many other people. I'm lucky that I had this outlet. Um, yeah, the body knows, the mind chatters, the body knows.
Mm. And I'm also reminded of the saying that I've heard, and I really believe that pain travels through generations until someone is willing to feel it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So thank you. Thank you for being willing to feel it. Thank you for everyone on this call. I know there are many of us who are the people in our families who have been willing to feel it.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I'm going to write it down so that I don't forget.
And so I see here that there's a message that has been shared, or sorry, a question that has been shared, but it's not visible to me. Christine, it seems like you can see the question. Are you able to read it out loud?
I'm sorry, I can't see the question, but Trina, if you would go ahead and put that into the chat, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, is it because Trina, your hand is raised, and so if you have a question, feel free to ask it. And feel free to let us know if your hand is raised by accident too. Sometimes that happens. All right. Well, we know that everyone is so incredibly busy. We know that very often time is in our work environments is very hard to come by, and we're very often scheduled back to back. So we're going to go ahead and start closing so that people have time to fill out the evaluation and have time to transition to whatever is next in your day. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for finding the way to join us today. What a wonderful session. Thank you, Giada. It's been such a joy to get to know you and your work and to be able to have you here sharing your wisdom. Thank you to our interpreters, Claudia, Emilio, and Paula. Thank you to everyone at NCDVTMH who's on the call, making sure that things run smoothly. We cannot do this without you. as well as everyone who is an author on the toolkit that will be forthcoming, who has joined as a participant today to hang out. We hope that you join us for session 3. It is a month from today, so it will be March 27th, and the topic is the use of creative expression in healing. And today was also about creative expression as much as it was about building safety in the body. And what's beautiful is that as we explore these different pathways of healing from the effects of trauma, we see how many of them overlap in different ways, and that there is no one way. The most important thing is to honor your inner voice, be true to yourself, and follow the path of healing that calls to you. We will offer a survey evaluation. Please fill it out. We want to know what worked. We want to know what else you want to see. We want to know how we can improve. In the next week or so, you will get a follow-up that includes a link to this recording. And then for folks who want certificates of attendance, there will also be those available. With that, I close our session with blowing out this candle that we have lit for every single one of you and everyone today. Know that even though our session comes to a close and we've blown out the candle, that we continue to be with you and for you. Wishing everyone a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.